Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. As you've heard from the Honorable Prime Minister, lifting off the lockdown of Suva at 0500 hours tomorrow morning. The message that needs to go out is still stay at home, save lives. We are worried about the trend that we are seeing now in the arrest figures that we are getting. There's a lesser number of people breaching the curfew or the lockdown areas, but there is more now on social gathering. We're concerned about Vunulevu in particular. They were the first villages and settlements there that implemented their own lockdown systems, but I think there was a general feeling that they were out of the woods, and that's where we're making the most arrests in the last 3 days. That was where the highest arrests were made in regards to social gathering. And that's what we don't want to happen in the greater Suva area. We're not out of the woods. We'll be changing our posture in regards to what we are doing to address the issue if we see there's an influx of people that are moving around aimlessly. We're looking at technology that further can help us get that message out, getting speaker systems onto the drone platforms that we have so we can fly it into areas and get the message out to people. Nambua lockdown area, yes, we have to employ some technology in there, being a closed community there. We're already putting in some of those measures in place. But otherwise, the targeted areas, as mentioned by the Honorable Prime Minister, in Sosoa, the Ndraketi area there, and Nambua will remain in place. But the rest of the issues, as he has clearly articulated, will remain in place and will continue to police that. The message still is, if you have nothing to do, stay at home and save lives. Do you have any questions?
Thank you, Commissioner. Can you tell us this new declaration of natural disaster with regards to your police prosecutors? So can you tell us how have these new changes to the legislation that we're following having any impact on how your prosecutors will be prosecuting curfew breaches from now on? Can you tell us if the ruling from Nandi has had any effect maybe on the surface?
Yes. You'll be interested to see the latest developments on that ruling on Nandi. I think the Chief Justice has made a statement. There's been a High Court ruling in regards to that. We'll be appealing the previous one to yesterday that the High Court has made a ruling recently. The Honorable Attorney General has made his statement, which we totally agree with. And it straightened things out. Yes, it did, the bill that came into place, the gazetting of that, did have an impact, and we implemented that. But there were issues on a few cases there in Nandi that we've corrected.
So with the Suva lockdown to be lifted tomorrow, will the additional checkpoints still remain?
As I've just said, yes, we'll be changing our posture, and there'll be snap checkpoints appearing at places if we see that people don't adhere to the directives that are in place. We'll still be out there keeping the places clear. All those places that have been directed to close down, gyms, nightclub and all that, that remains in place. But like I've already stated, the worry now is people breaking the directive on social gatherings. The figures in that regard continues to grow. There are lesser numbers now in regards to breaking of curfews and the lockdown areas. That is the area that we're worried about. It might point to a laxity on our part, feeling of we're out of the woods, but we need to realize we are not even in the middle of the woods yet. We've still got a long way to go fighting this. And it's an issue of life and death when people don't follow those directives. We are fortunate in Fiji that we've had no deaths so far, but you just got to look at the stats around the country and with our close neighbors to realize the magnitude of the problem that we are sailing through.
Commissioner, I'm sorry, I think I might have asked this before, but I'm going to ask you to clarify again. What is the guideline on cover? Can people have cover in their own house, or not? And can you please clarify reports that people are getting arrested for having cover in their own house with members of their own bubble? And I'm sorry, the Chief
Can I
Justice
answer that
referenced-
first?
Okay,
And
yes, go ahead.
you have plenty of time to ask your questions. Okay, in regards to drinking yangona in your homes, I use an example of a family in Vatukula. One house has 16 family members living there. They drank yangona, they serenaded, that's fine. Until a few days later, they invited a friend who's a grass cutter or whatever was walking by and went in. That becomes a public gathering. That's why they were arrested. You can drink cover if you come back from work, you sit down with your son and your sons and your wife, you're members of that household. I don't know what's the definition of the bubble. The bubble might include your neighbors. That's why it's worrying that you're using the word bubble. It's that family members under that household. You can drink all the cover that you want to drink. And it includes having your beers. If you come back from work, you want to have a few beers, as long as you are members of that household, that's fine. We're not arresting people for that. If you're saying that people have been arrested from their homes, they have a great opportunity with their defense in court. That's where they go and raise those issues of defense during the court proceedings. But we've corrected some of that already. They're saying that he was, a particular case, he was smoking beside the house. No, he wasn't. He was on a common driveway, not even the driveway into the house. So they've got the courts that are there, which are impartial, that they can go to and fight their defense. Nobody stops them from doing that. But all the cases that we've taken to court with those allegations that have been made have resulted in convictions. So there's a system in place where it's open to them to raise those issues as part of the defense, and it's on our police prosecutors to get that prosecuted with the evidence that we have gathered. But we have no reason to go after people in their houses. They're in their homes. There's no reason to do that. If they're sitting on their veranda or their balcony, having their Ngona, members of the house, we might come there and ask if they are members of the house. We have to do that. We are obligated to see that the directives of government are adhered. So that's probably people misinterpreting that if we're questioning them in that regards. We've got a job to do to keep everyone in Fiji safe and to assist the Ministry of Health and government in fighting this virus. I hope I've answered that part of the question. Your next question, please.
Commissioner, with regards to accused persons, when you've got them in your custody, do they have access to legal advice? Can they talk to their lawyers?
First, our procedures, everything is normal. All that part of it, we go with that. They're given that opportunity.
The final thing I wanted to ask you, sir, sorry, your reference earlier to ruling in the High Court or to the Chief Justice, that was news to me. And I suspect to a few other people. Can you explain what you meant by that?
I haven't read that. It's just come out recently, just before I walked in. You'll be able to read that and, in more detail after this, and I'll be doing the same as well. Thank you. Next, sir.
So just the will from Legend FM. If you can just confirm people going to work tomorrow who were maybe non-essential people whose businesses were closed, will they be able to travel tomorrow if their workplace is open?
I think we've clarified that along the way with statements that have already been given by the Honorable Prime Minister and the Honorable Attorney General, and also from me. There's essential services that's open, and also there are other businesses that have been opened up. And everybody who's got reasonable reasons to travel, to go to work, and so forth, we're not stopping those people. We have checkpoints in place to control all this movement, to weed out the unnecessary movement. That's what we are trying to tell people. If you've got nothing to do, if you're going to the shops, yes, we'll let you go to the shops. But if you've got nothing to do, stay at home, save lives. Next question, please.
So with allegations with regards to the guy that died in police custody back in Lautoka.
I need to correct that.
Okay.
A remand center is under the corrections authorities. There is no remand center under the Fiji Police Force. You need to understand that first, and it'll answer your question. He never died in police custody.
So would you be able to provide an update on this?
It's under investigations, and those matters will be produced in court, and you'll have the opportunity to hear that. It might jeopardize the court process if we go through that. Next question, please.
So there have been claims by some taxi drivers that they've been told at certain checkpoints which your officers are manning, that if they need to have only 2 passengers in the vehicle, if not, they will be fined. Have you received any complaints from any taxi driver or in this regard? Or
No, I haven't received any complaints from a taxi driver. And you understand the message has been coming out about social distancing. We can't have a taxi cruising around with 5 people or 6 people crammed into that car. I hope I've answered your question. You've just walked away. Thank you. Next question, please.
So with an average of about 100 arrests nearly every day, when you arrest people and they're being detained, just keeping in mind physical distancing, maybe you could just answer that question.
Yes, we've took that into account some time back. We separate them and distribute them to other police stations rather than the police station that arrested them. We have a temporary holding facility that we've created at the Police Ready Response Unit, and there's extra classrooms there. When that gets crowded, we move them into those classrooms as well. Even though during the cyclone, we had to move them into that. We have that already factored in our operations. Binaka, thank you, ladies and gentlemen. On behalf of the Honourable Minister for Health and Dr. Elisha, we thank you very much.